Lei modera e traduce. Perfetto. Traduce, quindi forse lei la basta.
Guardate per terra, vedete.
Io inviterei gli autori del film, Gia, Maya, and Fred, come here for this.
Thank you.
So you already met Maya and Gia and Fred Berger, the producer, and I think Nat is gonna join us from LA or wherever he is, but on the screen. Stiamo aspettando anche Nat Wolf.
I'm here.
You're
here? Where are you?
No, I'm on the screen, right?
Not yet.
You're just an ambient
We can hear you.
voice.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Well, that's the best part of me anyway. Congratulations, Gia and Maya. Good to, I wish I could you guys.
I miss you.
We get a round of applause for Nat Wolf from
Yeah,
LA,
please.
Possiamo averlo sullo
That's
schermo.
amazing.
Can you see us now?
Yeah, he will come. I
He'll
think
be
they're running the credits probably.
Can you see us?
No, I can't. I just
Allora, intanto, let me just give you, because we need to be four, I'm going to translate and to ask the question because the translator otherwise was one too many for the social distancing. Allora, faccio io le domande e faccio anche la traduzione. Intanto aspettiamo che Nat arrivi sullo schermo. But I'm going to start with a simple question to Gia. You know, when I saw the film, so many months ago, it struck me because it felt a film so immersed in its culture and so knowledgeable of the culture of today, you know, your generation. And yet, it came with such wisdom, you know, a perspective that was wise on it. And then I read that you were inspired by Elia Kazan, A Face in the Crowd. So let me just say it in Italian really quickly. Allora, quando ho visto il film molto tempo fa, mi ha colpito molto la vicinanza che lei aveva con la sua generazione e con questo mondo che il film rappresenta, ma anche la saggezza del film. E poi ho scoperto che lei era stata ispirata, tra le altre cose, anche da un film di Elia Kazan, che è Un volto nella folla. So Gia, can you give us a little bit of background?
Yeah, I mean, after I made Palo Alto, I was just thinking about what I connected with and what story I wanted to tell next. And I had randomly seen Face in the Crowd on Turner Classic Movie, and I fell in love with it for a lot of reasons. And one of them was just the interest. I found it very interesting, the sort of transition at the time in the 1950s of radio to television and what that was like for the culture. And also it was just sort of the story of a young woman trying to figure out her identity through this this guy and giving all of her qualities and uplifting someone that and it becomes dangerous.
Let me translate. And so she was when she was trying, quando ha cercato di pensare cosa fare dopo.
Oh, there he is.
Hi, welcome.
Oh.
This is like the still of you
So,
meeting Maya.
quando Gia cercava di trovare un progetto da fare dopo Palo Alto, che è il suo primo film che è stato a Venezia qualche anno fa, una sera su Turner Classic Movie ha visto questo film di Elia Casane, l'ha colpita moltissimo, l'ha colpita la storia, l'ha colpita questo racconto del passaggio dell'effetto del passaggio dalla radio alla televisione, e anche il personaggio di una giovane donna che stava catturata da quella manipolazione di questo individuo.
Yeah, but at the same time, this was a few years ago, my friend was representing social influencers, and I didn't quite understand what that meant or what that kind of content was. And she described it as like, oh, it's so mainstream doesn't even know it yet. And I was sort of interested in the kind of merge of storytelling into this kind of new world of the internet. And, you know,
let me because it's dense. Quando lei allo stesso tempo, mentre ha scoperto questo film e questa storia, una sua amica rappresentava un gruppo di alcuni influencers, che era un mondo di cui lei non sapeva assolutamente nulla. La sua amica le ha detto è più mainstream del mainstream, no? E quindi lei ha cominciato allora a cercare di esplorare questo mondo.
Where was I? But
Social influencers, your friend.
oh yeah, but I mean, I think it was you know, with this film, it wasn't trying to, you know, make a statement or be an authority on the subject matter. I think it was just about expressing what I was feeling at that time, and sort of being a moment in time, and what I was witnessing in the culture, and just kind of trying to do a sort of fairy tale of that world.
E non volevo fare una dichiarazione, non volevo dare un giudizio, ma più che altro così entrare in questa cultura, catturare un momento della nostra cultura, un momento nel tempo della nostra cultura in questo mondo particolare. E vorrei...
That's pretty much it. And then, you know, Fred believed in me, and then it started to transpire. I mean, and it took a long time, but, you know, we got all the actors together, and Tom, our writer, and we really just kept workshopping it.
E poi Fred, il produttore, ha creduto nel film, abbiamo raccolto i soldi, ci è voluto parecchio, abbiamo trovato Maya e Nat e lo sceneggiatore, e quindi ci è voluto un po' di tempo, ma alla fine ce l'abbiamo fatta a fare il film. Io avrei una domanda anche per Maya e per Nat sui loro personaggi. I have a question also for Maya about her character, and then I will also ask Nat. And Frankie is she's a little bit of a... Frankie è solitaria, anche lei non conosce bene questa cultura, prima viene completamente catturata da Link e poi viene disillusa. Your character is someone that is sort of a loner, and she has her world, and she gets infatuated, you know, gets attracted by Link, and then she is incredibly disillusioned at the end. Can you talk about this art?
Sure. I mean, I don't know if this is a good answer, but a memory just came back to me of a moment between Gia and I, where at one point while we were filming, I looked at Gia and I was like, where are Frankie's girlfriends? Like where is her community? Where are her girlfriends? And what I then started to think about and have thought about more and more since then, even just reflecting personally, is that, you know, the ebbs and flows and changes in a romantic relationship have a way bigger impact if you don't have a support system. You know, if you have a big root system, a big community, strong familial relationships, those kinds of you know, affairs affect you less deeply. They affect you deeply, of course, but it doesn't rock you to your core. But Frankie is sort of lacking a support system, lacking strong familial bonds. I don't want you to translate before I get to the end of the idea. So it's sort of lacking in that, and therefore, and confused about her own creative identity also, and meets this person who takes up so much space and gives so much energy and feels like she can kind of hang her identity on him until she realizes that she really can't anymore, and has to find herself.
Lei ha detto che durante la ripresa a un certo punto ha cominciato a pensare: ma dove sono le amiche di Frankie? Lei è sola, non ha nessuno che la sostiene, e quando c'è una relazione d'amore, gli alti e bassi, o l'inizio e la fine, sono molto meno dolorosi, molto meno drammatici se hai un sistema di supporto. E questo personaggio non ce l'ha, e anche dal punto di vista creativo non ha un sistema, non avendo un sistema di supporto, anche è più difficile il passaggio, e quindi mi ha colpito molto questa dimensione del personaggio, anche creativamente, non soltanto affettivamente, doveva trovare se stessa.
Thank you.
Nat, this is your second film with Gia, and she wrote the character for you. Gia Coppola ha scritto il personaggio per Nat Wolff, ed è il loro secondo film insieme. What was this second time like?
It's incredible. I mean, Palo Alto. What am I? Am I just hanging on a big screen over you guys?
Huge. You're so big.
How I always wanted it.
Yeah. Everyone's looking up at you.
I'll also just say that I wish so badly that I could be here with you guys in the audience. I had a medical issue and I couldn't be there, but I'm so proud of this movie. If you want to translate that.
Yes, I will. Prima ha detto che siccome non credo che veda tutto, sta chiedendo quanto era grande lo schermo, e poi ha detto che è molto orgoglioso del film, che gli spiace moltissimo non aver potuto venire di persona.
So I did Palo Alto with Gia when I met with you, Gia, when I was 16, and I remember in our first meeting you were like, do you think you could get really angry like this character? And I was like, I'll flip this table over right now. And then we've been really close friends since then. And in the years since Palo Alto, anytime I'm hanging at her house and cats are jumping on my back or scratching at my head, or will eventually at some point mainstream would get mentioned. So it would be like, and then at the end, and then it almost became a running joke of like, when do we start shooting? Next week? And then one day we just were shooting. I hope to work with Gia for the rest of my life.
Il personaggio che lui interpretava in Palo Alto, non so se l'avete visto, ma era molto diverso da quello, era un personaggio molto più arrabbiato. E allora dice che quando l'ha conosciuta lui aveva 15-16 anni, quando le ha chiesto cosa poteva fare, poteva diventare molto arrabbiato, perché quindi questo è un personaggio molto, molto più dolce, ma sono rimasti molto amici e hanno cominciato a parlare di mainstream da anni, e allora è diventato quasi una battuta: quando è che comincia mainstream? E poi un giorno tutto di un colpo e hanno cominciato a girare.
You're amazing at that. Wow.
Fred, as a producer, this is una domanda per il produttore. Questo è un film indipendente su una cultura molto particolare. Volevo chiedergli che tipo di difficoltà ci sono per decidere di fare un film del genere. Fred, it's a very peculiar film, and and it's a daring gesture to produce. It's also very loyal to its characters, I think, the film is, and you can feel that they work in complete freedom. You can just see it, So how much does it take for a producer to embark on a project like this?
I'm going to speak as long as possible to hear as much of your beautiful Italian. I've made a lot of different movies, a lot of different sizes, studio movies and small movies, and they all have their challenges. But what's so gratifying about making a movie like this, one is I was just in love with Palo Alto. I just thought aesthetically, cinematically, and also in its observation of humanity, just absolutely stunning. And I love Gia, and I had a chance to meet her long time ago when she was a teenager. So it was an honor to get to work with her. But the freedom that you get when you make small movies, it's very, very hard to get them off the ground, but that freedom, especially when, you know, these guys were all developing the script for years. They all spent time in retreats and different places putting their own experiences into this story. And as a producer, when you have that level of investment from brilliant actors and brilliant crew and a brilliant filmmaker, that's the real gift, because none of us, you know, did this for the money, but you know that everyone's showing up because they love it so much. And except for Nat. Nat got paid a lot. But the day that you visited, Julia, is a great example. What was fun about this?
Let me catch up with you. Dunque lui conosceva Gia, aveva avuto occasione di conoscere Gia da piccolo, e poi aveva molto amato Palo Alto, anche stilisticamente, il tono, la qualità estetica del film, quindi era molto ansioso di lavorare con lei. È chiaro che quando c'è un film del genere non lo fai, un film come questo non lo fai per i soldi, ma l'investimento, quando hai l'investimento di persone di talento, artisti di talento di questo caro, è un investimento che dura anni, perché per scrivere ci è voluto molto tempo. È un piacere, perché è quello che insomma sostanzialmente fa un produttore come lui, e quindi lasciarli lavorare è l'unico modo in cui uno può affrontare un film come questo. E poi stavo parlando di un giorno that I was on a set, right?
Yeah, by the way, this reminds me of the scene from Lost in Translation, where we but yeah, on movies like this, the inmates are literally running the asylum, and the subject matter of social media, you know, Gia was very clear that she didn't want to be specific to social media in one given moment because it evolves so quickly. So capturing the essence of excess. And that's the sort of experience of making the movie, is we felt completely limitless in what we were able to do and experiment on the given day. And I think you came the day when we were on Hollywood Boulevard, when we sent Andrew Garfield literally running through Hollywood Boulevard at noon, completely naked. None of those people are extras. That's just real traffic. He's just running around, and Julia was blushing. And those are the memories that make you want to make movies. So
not completely naked. He had a fake rubber appendage.
He did.
Potentially, you know.
Loro dice che la libertà, però, appunto, la libertà di fare un film come questo è la grande gioia di poterlo fare proprio così. Ricordavo un giorno che sono anche stata capitata sul set della scena di Hollywood Boulevard, dove Andrew Garfield gira nudo. Loro non hanno chiesto dei permessi per girare, l'hanno messo in strada, e la gente era veramente colpita di quello che succedeva, che non se lo aspettava. E Maya ha notato che non era completamente nudo, ma aveva una...
I was trying to give Andrew a little credit, but...
Yeah. E volevo chiedere ancora a Gia, visto che come ci hai detto ci è voluto moltissimo per scrivere il film, per pensarlo, quanto sia tu che gli attori avete penetrato la cultura dei influencers. Gia, because this film, as Fred was also saying, you said before, it took a while to get made, and also it was developed, to develop. How much in the process, both you and your actors have explored the social media influencers culture? I mean, I think you have some of them in the film that are authentic ones, right?
Yeah, it was really fun to cast and get to know them, and they were all actually so sweet. We were like ready to try and like mess with them, and they were just such nice kids and really smart, and it was just interesting, their world versus what we're familiar with. And I think they consider themselves actors, but filmmaking is called like narrative acting to them or something. But it was just very interesting to get to know them, and yeah.
Allora gli ho chiesto quanto aveva esplorato questo mondo, e la sua risposta è stata che li hanno conosciuti ed erano molto dolci, molto carini, e che loro erano pronti, non ha detto detestarli, però a comunque avere dei problemi con loro, che invece erano molto gentili, molto generosi, e che si considerano attori, e come se fossero, si considerano attori, che per loro fare un film è narrative acting, recitare in una narrazione, ma loro stessi pensano di recitare, cioè di non avere un rapporto non filtrato con il pubblico.
One little note is when Andrew runs around with the turd, we didn't tell any of the YouTubers that was going to happen. So we set up the shot, and then we were like, okay, now's the time. And so all of that reaction is very genuine.
Quando, quando c'è la scena in cui lui prende, cioè, quegli escrementi, loro non avevano avvisato gli influencers, quindi non se l'aspettavano, e quindi anche quella è stata una reazione completamente genuina.
So far, this is the first mention of a turd at the Venice Film Festival at a Q&A.
I'm not sure. Non sono sicura che sia la prima menzione di escrementi al Festival di Venezia, but it may be close to the, very close to the first one. And I was wondering if Nat and Maya wanted to add something about the influencer, their experience with influencers.
You take it, homeboy.
Is that to me? I can't tell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you.
well,
That's you.
it's both of you.
I think it's interesting what Gia said, that you kind of had this idea of them and what they represent, and then when you met them in person, you realized you know, that they were just like all of us. I think that's the thing that makes this movie pervasive, is that it's not just about Instagram, it's about excess and the need for validation and the dangers of social media is the way that you know, it takes hold now, but it's been there since Facing the Crowd. It's been there before that, you know, of you know, people when they're starved of love and then they're fed this false love, you know, they eat it till it comes out of their ears. And so I thought this movie was, you know, a really important movie to make, especially right now, because it feels translate, sorry.
È interessante quello che diceva Gia sul fatto della nostra opinione preconcetta, no? Perché in realtà il fatto che è stata provata sbagliata significa quanto questa cultura sia pervasive. Questo film qua non è soltanto un film su Instagram, ma su un modo di influenzare la cultura, specialmente credo si riferisse anche alle loro generazioni, che esiste dai tempi appunto del Volto della folla di Elia Kazan, quindi un film che va oltre il mondo circoscritto che rappresenta dei social media. E credo che una domanda ancora. I have time only for one. And it's to Gia. Gia, you, even from Palo Alto, we loved, we're in Venice, and this one, your style. I mean, your movie have a sense of style and rhythm that is extremely self-assured and accomplished. And you've been very, yeah, no, it's true. Sto chiedendo una domanda sullo stile, perché già in Palo Alto lei aveva dimostrato una facilità stilistica notevole e un senso del ritmo molto elegante, molto così. Allora volevo chiederle un po' come ha costruito questo film, se ha dei riferimenti particolari. So you were outspoken about Facing the Crowd being an influence, broadcast news, and network. What stylistically, what were you thinking when you were doing this?
I mean, I've only made Palo Alto and mainstream, but I felt like with each experience, you're just getting to know them as you're going, kind of, and they're evolving and telling you what they want to be. But Palo Alto was a very different tone than mainstream, and so a lot of my choices were just based on what the tone is. It's satire, it's a fable, and so it's bright. It's dealing with, you know, commercialism and consumerism, and it's, you know, it's loud and so, and I was also working with all people that I love and I find very inspiring. So it's just a collaboration and a conversation throughout.
Allora dice che il suo stile non è deciso a priori, ma anche in Palo Alto è uno stile che si adegua al tipo di film, al tono del film. Il tono chiaramente di questo è un tono molto diverso, è un tono a che fare con la satira, un volume molto alto e quindi la specificità del film hanno dettato le sue scelte estetiche. E poi lavorava anche con un gruppo di collaboratori molto cari e molto che lei apprezza molto e che è stato molto facile quindi evolvere lo stile durante la lavorazione del film. Credo che purtroppo non posso fare domanda. Ok, mi dica la domanda. Una sola. No, non se la può togliere la maschera. By one, because they really want me to go.
Modern girl they are not used to see us on the screen because each of us could be Frankie. So, and how much of Frankie is in you?
Allora, questa è l'unica domanda che accetto perché era qua in terza fila, perché non ce lo permettono, quindi, però lei ha ringraziato Gia per fare un film su una ragazza moderna come tanti di loro e poi le ha chiesto quanto di Frankie c'è in Gia.
I think with anything I do, I can't work unless I feel connected to it, and so it starts with me, I guess, but it keeps evolving into other themes that I'm trying to articulate and how to kind of execute that. But then it goes into Maya's hands and it becomes something else. And then.
But I based the whole character on you.
Well, shucks.
Molto.
Allora Gia ha detto che tutto comincia dentro di sé perché non può raccontare una storia se non ha una relazione profonda con questa, quindi sicuramente ci sono delle cose che partono da lei, ma poi quando entra un attore dentro come Maya o anche il film passa anche a loro, diventa anche parte della loro esperienza. You want to add something, Maya?
No.
Okay.
I would just add that, like, you know, I guess it was starting in my 20s and I was reflecting a lot about just what your identity is in your 20s and trying to figure out who you are and how do you individuate yourself. And as an artist, I felt kind of, I felt a little bit like an alien in what is pop culture. And so it was just all things that I needed to kind of get out of my system in a way. And I think through doing that, you grow.
Partirà anche un film su cosa significa avere 20 anni e sul fatto che lei si sentiva un pochino un'aliena, come credo il personaggio di Frankie in questa cultura popolare. Quindi anche per capire il suo ruolo in questo mondo ha fatto il film e poi da un'esperienza come questa poi tu cresci e hai capito una cosa. E devo purtroppo chiudere qua perché siamo fuori tempo. I have to finish because we're run out of time. Fred,
Thank you.
Quick end note. Tiny. I think this film is less an indictment of social media and more an endorsement of human connection. And in a year where we've been literally starving for it, the fact that you guys all showed up here in person with masks and that you and Alberto and your whole team threw a festival and got us out of the country to see how people actually resolve COVID is just unbelievably meaningful. We're so grateful. Thank you so much.
Questo è un film che è meno sui social media che sulle connessioni, cioè sui rapporti umani, e quindi il fatto di poter essere qui di persona a presentarlo, di essere venuti dagli Stati Uniti a presentarlo, di avere un film qua e di vederlo insieme a voi è un grandissimo regalo e ringrazio tutti e anche il festival.
And thank you, Nat.
Bye, Nat.
Thanks, Nat.
I'll stay here. You guys can all leave, and I'll stay up here on the screen. I'll be here.
Yeah, take it away.
Yeah, very link. Yeah. Grazie.